in the same way that J.D. Vance represented a new target for Democrats to assault, because so much has been said about Donald Trump, and there's almost a sense of like, you know, what new things can you introduce to the public? Although, you know, I did see quotes in the wake of the Republican National Convention that people just hadn't seen him speak, actually, or younger voters in particular, and were like, wow, he is a lunatic. But J.D. Vance became sort of like, you know, a new target-rich environment. They want to do the same with Walz, the Republicans do, because of their complete ineptitude in being able to criticize Kamala Harris without deferring immediately to her race or her gender. They just can't do it. I mean, so much so that the leader in the House had to beg them, don't be overtly racist or misogynist. And here is Ben Shapiro trying to, I guess, tell the American public that this Midwestern guy who looks like literally everybody's dad, like nerdy dad, but also, you know, sort of, he's like just corny enough, but not so corny that you roll your eyes. He's just like right on the brink. And it's also because he was a football coach and a teacher. I mean, he knows how he's coming off. Here's Ben Shapiro just losing his mind a little bit because he just doesn't know. He can't get a toehold here.
Stuff about Tim Walz is not that he presided over the burning down of Minneapolis and, in his own words, abjectly failed to stop that from happening. It's not that he's praised socialism. It's not that he's blown out the budget to the tune of a 40% increase in the last year. It's not that he has presided over extraordinary fraud in the state of Minnesota. Of course, you wouldn't expect her to say any of those things. It's that if you go back far enough, he was a high school football coach. And don't you know, he's a teacher and a high school football. He's basically Mr. Feeney, but more athletic. He's like Ed Asner, avuncular, moderate, just one of the boys. You know, a guy who can crack
Pause
a beer.
Pause it for a second. Now, first off, this guy's having such a meltdown. First off, I don't know if anybody knows who Ed Asner is anymore. This is like my Bullworth site.
Or Mr. Feeney's a Saved by the Bell reference, which is also another like 30-year-old sitcom. Yeah.
Yes. But Ed Asner was, before he died, he was on like the Ed Asner show. He was on the Mary Tyler Moore show. He's an actor. He was to the left significantly of Tim Walz. I mean, Ed Asner was, if I remember correctly, not only like very sort of like militant in terms of labor, but I think he was a leftist. So it's not only an aged, reference, although maybe his audience is that old that they know who he's talking about. But if they know who he's talking about, it's not going to make sense to them anyways, because why would you come out and want to appear as Ed Asner?
Per Asner's Wikipedia, he was active in the movement to free Mumia Abu-Jamal.
He was
the movement to establish California One Care, single-payer healthcare in California. He endorsed Kucinich in the 2004 race.
Yeah,
no, you're exactly right, Sam.
Yeah, but go back.
He was a high school football coach. And don't you know, he's a teacher and a high school football. He's basically Mr. Feeney, but more athletic. He's like Ed Asner, avuncular, moderate, just one of the boys. You know, a guy who can crack a beer and can shoot a rifle, but is also really, really in favor of gun control and transing the kids. That's basically the pitch in favor of Tim Walz. So she does this routine. These rallies are incredibly well choreographed. I will say that. They are very well choreographed. She calls for a chant, and a chant goes up. First Democratic rally I've seen for a while where people start actually cheering USA. And why are they cheering USA? Because she says, what an amazing country this is. What an incredible country where a person like me, middle-class person, or Tim Walz, middle-class person, can become the president and vice president of the United States. Now, I agree with that. But she doesn't agree with that. She believes that America is systemically racist. So does Tim Walz. Tim Walz said back in 2020 that he believes that those riots were a reflection of the great evil that America represented. And yet here they are doing the unity routine. And that's what is so false about all of this, is this idea that these folks are real reminders of what brings us together, that what they are really interested in more than anything else is governing for all Americans. They are radically to the left. This is why the Trump campaign has a moral obligation to remind the American people that these people are radically to the left. Okay, so that's all the intro to Tim Walz. Then Tim Walz.
Like, has this guy been hanging out with like Don Jr.? There's like there's a freneticism, like a panic that is there that I don't recall seeing in
maybe
a
at 3/4 speed.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's like they're being hypocritical. They have a critique of the United States, but yet they say they like it. I don't know if I can believe that. And the Trump administration has a campaign
Jackie
has
Robinson.
a moral requirement to tell people that Harris and are bad.
That's so, that argument's so stupid. It's like saying Jackie Robinson claims there's some color problem in baseball, but there he is behind home plate swinging a bat. So I don't know see what the problem is.
It's so strange. Jackie Robinson says it's hard to get into baseball. Yet there he is. He's playing.
What a hypocrite.
How is that possible?
I couldn't help but notice you in the batter's box, Jackie.
Is that a glove on your hand? Oh, well, that seems very weird. Why would you have a glove on your hand if it's so hard to play baseball if you're a black person?
Also, I mean, you got about as many views as in your live as that one did, despite much less subscribers. I think Ben, I don't know, he's better when he goes into makeup first, I think, and gets his hair cut because he looks a little bit disheveled there.
Honestly, it looks like he's been up all night. Please don't pick Walz.
Yeah.
Please don't pick Walz.
He was hoping for Shapiro.
It really is. It's funny how much they're trying to pretend they wanted that Shapiro would be a better pick. It's fascinating. Again, they're having trouble figuring out how they're going to attack Tim Walz because they're throwing stuff against the wall and trying to figure out if it's going to stick. And the thing is like all their talk about like Minneapolis and BLM, that's all been litigated already.
Yeah.
That's all been litigated in the 2020 election.
That was supposed to be that red wave in 2022.
Exactly. Here is Kevin McCarthy. This is the amazing thing about it is that they do not have any type of like substantive critique they can rely on. Like, of course, like, look, the Democrats are out there calling them weird. You could break it down. You can find like the instances in which they're talking about. But the Republicans can't do that because the Republicans are weird. It's just like, that's what normal people think. If they thought it could be effective, they're trying to like, oh, I'm not weird. You're weird. But they cannot communicate any type of vision. They can't even mix it in. So Walz and Harris will say they're weird. And we want lunch for kids in school. And we want healthcare. And we want, labor to and unions to help the jobs. And they don't have anything to mix it in. So they basically just, they're flailing. And they may not have seen the polls, but Bernie Sanders is pretty popular across the board. And it's unclear who Kevin McCarthy thinks he's talking to here on Laura Ingram's show.
And all is well. Is this a smart choice, Tim Walz, for her tonight?
I don't think so. I think this is this choice that Ilhan Omar wanted. This is the ticket they desired. This is the most extreme. This is going from San Francisco to...
Pause it. Incidentally, we should say not only did Ilhan Omar want it, Joe Manchin wanted it. Nancy Pelosi wanted it.
Although they would think she's left-wing too.
I mean, I don't know who it is that they think is right-wing here, but Joe Manchin, he's not even a Democrat anymore.
Well, Kevin McCarthy's not happy with it.
Kevin McCarthy is not happy with this. He realizes that this is the wrong thing for the Democrats to do if they want to win. Go ahead.
That Ilhan Omar wanted. This is the ticket they desired. This is the most extreme. This is going from San Francisco to here you go into Minnesota, the area that even Ronald Reagan could not win. I mean, this is what's so amazing to
For a
me.
second. They're really trying to do this. Those freaks in Minnesota.
I love that.
It's so funny because, you know, they tried to do this with Obama where they were like, he's total Chicago politics. And I remember at the time going like, you have to be like 85 years old to even know what that is a reference to.
Yeah.
Like deep dish pizza. And for years, all the San Francisco stuff about Nancy Pelosi was born in an era where there was incredible homophobia. And so the implication was that she was around gay people a lot. And that's what San Francisco politics meant. And then just, you know, it doesn't have the same salience 40 years later where people are like, what is going on with San Francisco? Oh, you mean like tech stuff? Oh, you mean increase in rents?
Yeah.
What? You
People
mean
don't remember
gay
Haight
people?
Ashbury?
No, it's not Haight Ashbury. Well, that was the hippies,
Right, exactly.
but it was the Castro.
Right.
That's where the gay pride parades are. And so now they're trying to make Minnesota seem radical. This is
radical left-wing Minnesota. There's something in the water up there.
You see those hats they wear where they got the flaps that come down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. Like, I mean, Jesse Ventura, frankly, the DFL history. But I think, yeah, it's going to be hard to sell that to the rest of America. It doesn't have that context.
You go into Minnesota, the area that even Ronald Reagan could not win. I mean, this is what's so amazing to me. I served with Tim. We came into Congress together. He's known for being the Bernie
Incidentally, I
Sanders
should just
of
remind
Congress.
you.
But to combine those,
You know who Ronald Reagan ran against in that year that he lost Minnesota? Walter Mondale, who was from Minnesota. Go ahead.
to here you go into Minnesota, the area that even Ronald Reagan could not win. I mean, this is what's so amazing to me. I served with Tim. We came into Congress together. He's known for being the Bernie Sanders of Congress, but to combine those two together and to try to ignore what just transpired yesterday, it was the Kamala crash that a lot of 401ks got wiped out. You've got every day you go to the grocery store, Kamala has raised the inflation. You watch every day what's happening at our border. She was in charge of that. What has she accomplished in all of this? I've watched the damage she's done to California. I watched what Tim did to the burning of his own city. I mean, I think they've gone way too far. And really, had she picked Shapiro, I would have given her a lot of respect because it would have shown she was prepared at least to try to be president, that she'd stand up to her own party. But she's proven today she will not. She's going further left than possible.
Okay.
I love Republicans
First off,
talking about standing up to your own party.
Exactly. You know who was the Bernie Sanders of Congress? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was in Congress. I think they had an overlap of a year or two, but nevertheless, McCarthy can't even get an analogy right, says the Mill Rind. I mean, it really is amazing. I mean, when you're trying to say like now they're going to Minnesota,
You know what that
you get a
means.
candidate? Are you kidding me? Well, we all going to have twin cities? Or what about those skywalks? I mean, is America ready for this? To be walking through hallways that are elevated? What is that?
I think having a ticket that speaks to, say, Georgia and California and also Nebraska and Minnesota, just on the two people on the ticket, that's a pretty strong ticket, actually. That is pretty, and honestly, that kind of represents America a little bit better than maybe the real estate guy from New York City and the venture capital sort of foot soldier.
What are we going to do? Have teachers? He's not even a lawyer. It really is amazing how stumped they are. While it's true that guys like Kevin McCarthy and Shapiro don't necessarily know how to attack Tim Walz. There is a guy who does know how to attack Tim Walz, and it's the same way that he would attack anybody, really, and that is to claim that they like people of color, or don't have a problem with them, or is trying to replace us, if you will, or replace people. I give you former Trump advisor and probably a current Trump advisor, Stephen Miller, on Fox's Laura Ingraham show, talking about Tim Walz.
Tim Walz championed free health care for illegal aliens, which will bankrupt America, and he is the biggest booster in the whole country for unlimited refugee resettlement. That means under the Harris-Walz plan, they're going to turn the entire Midwest into Mogadishu. That's their plan. That's their policy. I don't think there's a market for that in the United States of America.
Katie, it looks
So, like, go ahead, Sam.
No, well, I think that's the point. Like, where does a talking point like that come from, Matt?
It comes from Nazis on forums. I've seen that Somalia, Mogadishu stuff all the time. And this, Nazi from California talking about how to preserve the Midwest. I got news for him. Those towns in the Midwest that are losing population right now, that are seeing all the young people move out of them, those ones were formed and sustained by recent migrants populations. And if we don't bring migrants into those communities, continue them and integrate them into this tapestry of America, then those cities will die.
Well, all right, Matt, but were they really migrants? What countries?
Well,
did they come
European
from?
migrants.
Okay, well, there we go. So the good kind.
One of the oldest mosques in America.
Not the Mogadishu kind.
Well, speaking of Mogadishu, I mean, one of the earliest mosques in America was in North Dakota. People can look that up. So, from, I believe, Lebanese immigrants.
Apparently, Stephen Miller did not get the memo about trying not to be overtly, or maybe he just thought, look, well, I wasn't overtly racist about Kamala Harris. I was just generally overtly racist.
About all of the immigrants of Minnesota.
Immigrants. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.